President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. lauded rising Filipina tennis star Alex Eala.
No one expected the strongest moment inside the Philippine presidential palace to be silence. It wasn't the applause. It wasn't the cameras. It wasn't even the presentation of the Presidential Citation. It was the moment Alex Eala stopped speaking. For a brief second, the room seemed to forget how to breathe. Standing beside President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., with the highest civilian officials of the country watching, the 21-year-old tennis star looked down at the framed citation in her hands, trying to hold back tears. Just moments earlier, she had smiled and admitted something almost impossible to believe. She said she normally never gets nervous speaking in public. But this night was different. This time, she was nervous. Her voice trembled. Her eyes filled. And suddenly, one of the toughest competitors in world tennis looked like the little girl who had once walked onto a practice court wearing ruffled socks, flashing light-up shoes, and dreaming of something nobody around her had ever seen before. What made that moment so powerful wasn't simply that she was receiving an award from the President of the Philippines. Athletes have been honored before. Champions have walked through those palace doors. But this ceremony carried a feeling nobody inside that room had experienced. Because the country wasn't simply celebrating another champion. It was trying to figure out how to honor someone who had rewritten its sporting history. Only 9 days earlier, Alex Eala had stunned the tennis world on the biggest grass courts on earth. At Wimbledon, she walked onto center court against defending champion Iga Swiatek, one of the tournament favorites and one of the sport's biggest names. Almost everyone expected the young Filipina's remarkable run to end there. Instead, she produced the match of her life. She edged a breathtaking first-set tiebreak before completely taking control of the second. In straight sets, she eliminated the defending champion and sent shockwaves through international tennis. Millions watched in disbelief as history unfolded in real time. But that victory wasn't the finish line. It was only the beginning of something much bigger. Her dream run carried her into the fourth round, the deepest singles performance ever achieved by a Filipino at a Grand Slam tournament. Although Jasmine Paulini eventually ended her campaign in 3 hard-fought sets, the result hardly mattered anymore. Alex Eala had crossed a line no Filipino tennis player had ever crossed before. By the time the rankings were updated, she stood at world number 28, the highest ranking any Filipino had ever achieved in professional tennis. Then came the phone call. Instead of preparing quietly for her next tournament, she was summoned to Malacanang Palace. Within days of leaving Wimbledon, she found herself standing before the president of her country. But what happened behind those palace walls revealed something the headlines barely mentioned. During the ceremony, President Marcos smiled and made a confession that instantly explained why the entire event felt different. Half joking, yet completely sincere, he admitted they didn't actually have a protocol for honoring someone like her. They had essentially created the ceremony because there had never been a Filipino tennis player whose accomplishments fit within the country's existing traditions. Think about that for a second. Governments have procedures for almost everything. Every state ceremony follows decades of precedent. Every recognition has a format. But Alex Eala's career had moved so far beyond anything Philippine tennis had ever achieved that the country literally had to invent a new way to celebrate her. That wasn't simply a compliment. It was history speaking. The Presidential Citation itself reflected that reality. It described her as the first Filipino woman to achieve unprecedented success on the international professional tennis circuit. Those words weren't borrowed from an old document. They had never existed before because no one had ever earned them. Without realizing it, Alex wasn't just collecting trophies anymore. She was creating language. And that's what made the emotion inside that room impossible to fake. While cameras focused on the president handing over the citation, another story quietly unfolded just a few feet away. Sitting nearby were her parents, Mike and Riza, watching their daughter reach a destination almost impossible to imagine years earlier. Behind them sat officials who understood they weren't witnessing an ordinary sports ceremony. They were watching an entirely new chapter of Philippine sporting history being written before their eyes. Yet none of those achievements explained why Alex suddenly became emotional. The real reason reached much further back. Long before center court. Long before the top 30. long before the millions of followers and international headlines. It started with one person who wasn't sitting inside that palace: her late grandfather. As the ceremony continued, Alex shifted away from rankings and victories. Instead of talking about Wimbledon or beating the defending champion, she spoke about the man who first taught her how to dream. Her grandfather, Roberto Papalolo Mano. She remembered finishing school, changing into tennis clothes, and heading to Rizal Memorial Sports Complex with her brother, where Papa Lolo patiently coached them day after day. Then she painted a picture so simple that it instantly captured the hearts of millions of Filipinos. She remembered arriving at practice wearing ruffled socks, flashing light-up shoes, and carrying the excitement only a child can have. That image spread across social media within hours. Not because it sounded scripted, because it sounded real. In a room filled with government officials, state photographers, and television cameras, Alex wasn't presenting herself as a global tennis star. She was reminding everyone that every extraordinary journey begins looking completely ordinary. And perhaps that's why so many people watching found themselves emotional alongside her. Because every parent in the country could suddenly picture their own child. Every young athlete could picture their own first practice. Every dream suddenly felt just a little closer. But even that wasn't the evening's most surprising moment. Because the next person to speak wasn't addressing Alex as president. He was speaking as a fan. Part 2. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. smiled, laughed softly, and admitted something few heads of state ever say in front of national television cameras. "I'm a fan," he confessed. "I'm gushing." The room erupted with warm laughter, but his words carried genuine admiration. He went even further, saying that one day he hoped he could simply watch Alex play, even if it wasn't a grand slam. Even watching one of her practice sessions, he said, would already be enough. For a president to set protocol aside like that was unusual. But perhaps nothing about Alex Eala's rise had followed normal rules. In his prepared remarks, Marcos praised not only her victories but the grace with which she handled success. Winning had made her famous. Humility had made her beloved. Then came the promise that may prove even more important than the citation itself. "If there's anything we can do to help you," he told her, "just say so." Those words instantly became part of the public record. For decades, tennis occupied a small corner of Philippine sports. Basketball dominated the national imagination. Boxing had Manny Pacquiao. Weightlifting produced Olympic glory. Other sports enjoyed deep institutional support. Tennis rarely entered that conversation. Alex changed that. Not through speeches. Through results. For the first time, parents across the country could point toward the world's biggest tennis tournaments and honestly tell their children that someone from the Philippines belonged there. That changes everything. It changes which sports children choose after school. It changes where funding flows. It changes which facilities receive investment. It changes how coaches dream. One athlete cannot transform an entire sporting culture overnight. But one athlete can convince an entire generation that transformation is possible. And that may become Alex Eala's greatest victory. Yet what makes her story remarkable is that it almost looked very different only months earlier. Back in January, she returned home to compete in the Philippine Women's Open at the very same Rizal Memorial Sports Complex where her grandfather had first coached her. Expectations were enormous. The home crowd believed they were about to witness another magical moment. Instead, she suffered a painful quarterfinal defeat against Camila Osorio. The loss hurt far more than the scoreboard suggested. She had dedicated that tournament to Papa Lolo. Losing on those courts, surrounded by the memories of her childhood and carrying the hopes of an entire nation, became one of the most emotional moments of her season. Many careers lose momentum after disappointments like that. Alex's didn't. She kept traveling, kept improving, kept winning. She captured WTA 125 titles, climbed into the top 50, continued building confidence, and quietly developed into one of the most dangerous young players on tour. By the time Wimbledon arrived, the rankings still underestimated what she had become. The rest of the tennis world found out soon enough. Which brings us back to that unforgettable evening inside Malacanang Palace. The tears weren't caused by pressure. They weren't caused by nerves. And they certainly weren't caused by a framed citation. They came from realizing just how far the journey had carried her. From a little girl in flashing shoes chasing tennis balls around Rizal Memorial Sports Complex, to standing beside the President of the Philippines holding an award created for achievements no Filipino tennis player had ever reached before. That distance cannot be measured by rankings. World number 28 is extraordinary, but numbers alone don't explain why millions of Filipinos suddenly see tennis differently. They don't explain why children are picking up rackets. They don't explain why government leaders are promising support. They don't explain why an entire country feels personally invested every time Alex walks onto a court. She has become more than a rising tennis star. She has become proof that limits sometimes exist only because nobody has broken them yet. And perhaps the most exciting part is that her story still feels unfinished. The palace ceremony closed one remarkable chapter. It didn't conclude the journey. In less than 2 weeks, Alex would leave once again, this time heading to the Mubadala DC Open in Washington. After that comes the US Open, new challenges, tougher opponents, and another opportunity to climb even higher. Every tournament now carries more than ranking points. She carries the expectations of an entire nation. She carries a presidential promise of support. She carries the memory of her grandfather. And somewhere inside her luggage, alongside the rackets and match gear, travels a presidential citation written specifically because no one before her had made such words necessary. The country didn't simply honor Alex Eala that night. It quietly admitted something much bigger. The old definition of what a Filipino athlete could become was no longer big enough. So they created a new one. And if world number 28 has already forced history to rewrite itself, imagine what might happen if the best chapter of Alex Eala's career hasn't even been written yet. The remarkable thing is that history rarely announces itself while it's happening. Most of the time, people only realize years later that they witnessed the beginning of a completely new era. But with Alex Eala, that realization is happening in real time. Every tournament she enters now feels different because expectations have changed. She is no longer arriving as the promising teenager hoping to upset the favorites. She is becoming one of the players everyone else prepares for. Opponents study her game. Tournament organizers know she attracts attention wherever she goes. Fans follow every practice session, every draw, every ranking update. That shift may seem subtle, but in professional tennis it changes everything. What makes this transformation even more extraordinary is how quickly it happened. Just over a year ago, Alex was still fighting for opportunities that many established players receive automatically. She needed chances to prove she belonged. She needed wild cards, qualifying matches, and breakthrough performances simply to enter the biggest stages. Today, there is no debate about whether she belongs. The debate has become how high she can climb. And that question has no clear answer yet. Her aggressive baseline game continues to improve. Her movement has become more confident against the world's best players. Perhaps most importantly, her belief has caught up with her talent. Wimbledon wasn't simply a lucky run. It was evidence of a player discovering exactly how dangerous she can become under the brightest lights. Defeating a defending champion on center court doesn't happen by accident. It happens when years of preparation finally meet complete confidence. That confidence is now traveling with her into every tournament. The Mubadala DC Open is next, but everyone understands it represents much more than another stop on the calendar. Every victory now has the potential to push her deeper into territory no Filipino has ever explored. Every ranking update becomes another national headline. Every match feels like another opportunity to expand what future generations believe is possible. Yet perhaps the greatest challenge won't come from the opponents standing across the net. It will come from carrying expectations. For the first time in her career, millions of people aren't simply hoping she'll succeed. They're expecting her to. That kind of pressure has overwhelmed countless athletes before. Every interview becomes bigger. Every loss receives more attention. Every victory raises the standard even higher. So far, Alex has handled that weight with remarkable maturity. She speaks with humility after victories. She accepts defeat without excuses. She continues giving credit to the people who helped shape her journey instead of making herself the center of every story. Those qualities have earned her something that statistics never can: trust. People believe in her, not only because she wins, but because of the way she carries herself when she does. Perhaps that's why the emotional moment inside Malacanang Palace resonated so deeply. The tears weren't those of someone overwhelmed by fame. They were the tears of someone who understood exactly how many sacrifices, long practices, painful defeats, lonely flights, and impossible dreams had led to that single moment. Somewhere, the little girl in the flashing light-up shoes was still standing beside her. Somewhere, Papa Lolo's lessons were still echoing through every swing of the racket. And somewhere beyond world number 28 lies another milestone that nobody can see yet. Because if Alex Eala has already forced an entire nation to rewrite its history, there's every reason to believe she isn't finished rewriting the future.